Oh, it's you again. Here to see if I survive another fishing expedition, are you? Well, welcome back. I'm Bait, in case you knew. And I've seen some things. I'm a popular choice for trolling, sad to say. Seems I've got some time to kill before I get reeled back in. So let me tell you a story. And maybe, if I'm lucky, I can convince those fish down there not to bite and save us all from a bad day. This one explores how a technique called control opposition can work online. And let me tell you, it's easier than ever. When one entity poses as their enemy, outside observers think they're witnessing the real deal. But really, the messages or even the actions are contrived, see? And so when these seeming bad guys do seemingly bad things, well, people think the enterprise they purport to represent is rotten. Controlled opposition has been used to crush all sorts of movements in the USA alone, from the Black Panthers to Occupy Wall Street. And the Internet's made it easier than ever, thanks to sock puppet accounts on social media platforms like Twitter. Today, you don't need a 3-letter agency funded up the wazoo with taxpayer dollars to put a deep cover agent in the field for months at a time. Fish have got to be real discriminating these days, and folks like you and me too. But mostly these manipulators have bigger fish to fry, like the media and the politicians. In an info-drenched society like ours, no one has the time to investigate everything we hear. We need to trust someone. And if the people we trust can't figure out who to trust themselves, well, how are we supposed to trust them? So let me relay a story to show how it all works. It's my business to know about these things. It's how I stay alive. And if I can get through to these fish, well, then I'm doing both of us a favor. There have long been people online, some call them trolls, who like to bait folks into believing things that aren't real, and acting on those beliefs in ways they probably shouldn't. Just like sport fishing, it's a game they play with people who never signed up to play. And they've gotten pretty good at reeling them in. But believe me when I tell you, hooks can scar, and sometimes even kill. Now, transgression is nothing new, and pranking neither. And no doubt some folk are in need of a rude surfacing now and again. But many of these trolls took it further, rationalizing extreme and often hateful beliefs, and even welcoming outright Nazis into their midst. And rather than sticking it to the man, as they used to say, they took to mostly threatening and harassing women online, spreading racist memes, and denigrating anyone whose lifestyle conflicted with their narrow ideas. And if anyone objected, these trolls would accuse them of overreacting, of being too sensitive. Hell, they'd even frame themselves as the victims, sputtering about "my free speech," as if hurting people was some sort of right. Now, even if some did intend it as some highly sophisticated form of edgy and ironical cultural critique, the effect was the same. They were spreading hateful ideas, and folks were getting hurt. And they were trivializing it all as some sort of game, even when no one else wanted to play. And all this minimizing just allowed newcomers to ease their conscience, allowed them to feel okay about sticking around and reading the arguments put forward by the Nazis in their midst, and maybe coming to see those hateful ideas as more and more normal. Well, one group opposes such activities more than any others. They call themselves Antifa, short for anti-fascist, and they made it their mission to make sure folks could see plain as day what these groups were about. Now, if there's one thing racist trolls all hate, it's someone who tells it straight, tells it exactly the way they see it. And so the trolls set about to twist Antifa's message all up, and they did it by pretending to be them. That's right, they started making sock puppet accounts, posing as the very Antifa organizations they opposed. The things they said sounded almost like things Antifa would say. They'd rail against state oppression and talk about organizing. But often the things they said were illogical, making Antifa look, well, stupid. And other times, the things they said made Antifa seem outright dangerous, made it seem like Antifa was encouraging its members to harm folks. Of course, either way, it was sensational, and so figures in the media quickly started paying attention to what these fake Antifa accounts said, and reporting it in place of the real deal. Now, an Antifa account could reach, maybe 10,000 people? But Fox News and the New York Times, well, they speak to millions. The effect was plain, of course. The people who trusted the journalists were led to believe that Antifa really thought like this, and the trolls who got their cheap kicks without any repercussions were incentivized to keep creating more and more and more of the fake accounts. Antifa was, as far as many could tell, what the trolls made them out to be. And even for those who knew better, it made the media look bad, made them look like untrustworthy dummies. Well, looks like these here fish have got the message, at least. I best be headed on out. No rest for old Bait here. So until next time, my aquatic friends, so long.